Hi, everyone, and welcome to Season 5 of Stand Up and Stand Out. Can you believe it? Already to Season 5? It has been a whirlwind year already. A lot has happened. You guys know after listening to Season 4 that I just launched Chameleon Mindset, my new book about how to embrace change and build mental resilience to transform your life and career. Lots more information obviously coming on Chameleon Mindset. We'll have the new online course coming soon. We've been doing lots of webinars, and I'll be on the road for the book tour. So hopefully you'll get to catch up together soon. Because why not just do another one? I have another book that just came out, The Great LeadHERship Awakening. In this book, I collaborated with 20 other amazing women. Each of them contributed a chapter talking about when their leadhership was awakened and part of their transformation, maybe over the pandemic or maybe over a longer period of time, really stepping into their power and showing what it means to truly be a leader. Welcome back to Season 5 of Stand Up and Stand Out. Can you believe it? Boy, it's like I just love talking, but I keep ending up with such amazing guests. You know, we have to keep making more episodes. And as you guys know, for Season 5, we have just finished launching The Great LeadHERship Awakening. And so we are interviewing each of the wonderful authors as a part of that book. So today our guest is Terre Short. You guys may recall that Terre was with us in Season 4 as we talked about my book, Chameleon Mindset. But today we're going to spend a little bit of time learning a little bit more about her and a little bit more about her chapter. So Terre, thank you so much for joining us again.
We're happy to be here and really thrilled to have been part of the book with you.
So for those of you who might have missed Terry's last episode or have yet to catch the book, Terre Short is an author, a speaker, a coach, and creator of the Thriving Leader Collaborative. She believes that truly authentic leadership is achieved when we embrace our inner wisdom to overcome business challenges. And as you guys pick up a copy of The Great LeadHERship Awakening, her chapter is 21, Intentionally Prioritize a Joyful Life. I love that title. So why don't you share a little bit about, your writer's journey, what encouraged you to be a part of the book, and then what makes you joyful in life?
I will. Well, first of all, I have to lead with when I hear you say episode 5 or Season 5 and all that I know you have on your plate and the travel that you do in the set, I think she could have written my chapter. Because you are prioritizing like nobody's business. And so my chapter's about getting a lot done, right? And you get a lot done. They're just people in this world that kind of prioritize in a way that they get a lot done in a joyful manner, right? On your own terms. And I see you doing that all the time. So I just thought about that when you were speaking. I was like, yeah, she could have totally written this chapter. Yeah.
We'll do the Nikki version of it. We'll do a video version over TikTok with me dancing in between the interludes.
There we go. There we go. And, we might approach it differently, but the point is that you're somebody that, is going high speed and knocking things out and getting things done and making an impact. And I love that. So I got invited into this journey, I think around the same time you did when we were at the women's retreat in Dallas. And I heard Kaylee talking and I thought, yes, I want to be who wouldn't? I want to be part of something called the Great LeadHERship Awakening. Like, how appealing was that, right? So I've just felt all in from the beginning. And as you know, I've written one book. I'm way behind you. I've written one book previously, and I'm just excited to write more. So I'm going to start any day now on my next book. And so I just said, write a chapter. That's a great sort of interlude, right? To be responsible just for one chapter. And so I embraced it and I wrote about prioritizing one's life.
That's fantastic. I say writing books is a lot like running marathons. We were just talking about that too. It's like, when you're in it, you're like, oh man, I love these things. I'm going to keep doing it. And as soon as you finish, you're like, man, I'm never doing that. Then you need a little bit of a break.
That's true. Well, with one exception, with the very first marathon I ran, when I finished, I couldn't find my people and, because I was way behind them. And so I was, going around in the crowd and such. And somebody stopped me and said something. And I said, they asked me something. And I said, I just ran my first marathon. So I said it. I mean, I was literally a minute done. And I said, I just ran my first. And I went, wait, I just said first. Like, have I lost my mind?
Get you, don't you? They get you with those endorphins.
Yeah. No, I agree. So I just loved the idea of women coming together to share their experience and their story, and they're all different. And gosh, I hope that your listeners are checking them all out because I know you're highlighting all of the authors. So it's a privilege to be a part of it.
Yeah, I'm so excited. And I really loved reading your chapter. And I could, we talk about this a lot, is like you and I have a lot of similarities and how we approach things, but how important these skills are that sometimes people just don't know. They get really overwhelmed. And I find a lot of people, especially I'm working with them on big kind of life transformation, procrastination comes up a lot. And you have some really good insights about, why people procrastinate and kind of what that has to do and how to change that mindset. Maybe you want to share a little bit about how to unprocrastinate ourselves.
First of all, I'll say that I took a neural mindfulness course to get a certification, and a great couple that produces it out of Paris. And I tell you what, Nikki, these days I am literally geeking out on the neuroscience. It's the future, right? And so I'm really very intentional about what I'm learning and how I'm building upon that learning from a neuroscience perspective. And when I got to the procrastination part, I went, wait a minute, why is it taking me so long? Well, maybe because I procrastinated. Anyway, so here's the deal. Procrastination it's irrational because we know when we're doing it that there's a downside, and sometimes a very significant downside. And we do it. We embark upon it knowing that. And so it's essentially an irrational behavior for us to embark on. And it's an emotional response. So it's not about capability of doing the thing. It's not about the actual time that you have to do the thing. I didn't even put this in the chapter, but we could get into Parkinson's law, which is how you use up that whatever amount of time is given to you. But anyway, you procrastinate out of some other emotional response, like something is maybe even having this thing put on your plate has caused you anger or frustration or what have you. And the act of procrastinating, of intentionally putting it off, knowing that there's a downside, is emotional. And so that's not that I think we all have to run out to therapy because we procrastinate, but it's important to accept that as it's a product of something else that's going on. And you coach others and through their journeys and such, and it bubbles up. And sometimes a output of that emotional response is the procrastination.
I think that's so well said. And some people are like, oh, it's very easy to, I need to fill in the time, or I'm just busy, or, there's ways to push it away without really addressing what's going on. But it's important that we start removing those barriers, because if you want to accomplish things you have in life, you have to start saying, no to anxiety, no to fear. Let's put all that stuff away. Let's address it head on. Let's get off of autopilot of just like, oh, well, I was just doing this and I'm just going to keep going this way. Maybe I wasn't meant to do the other thing. And you offer some really great tools on how to start to find that balance in your life and, how to reprioritize what you're doing. So maybe share a little bit about some of those tools that people can use to find that balance, which seems sometimes so elusive.
Yes. Well, first I want to talk about the graphic that I put in my chapter, right? So speaking of balance, when you think of balance, I think of a balance bar, and we talk about the teeter-totter, right, and the balancing, and so what I propose is that perhaps that's unrealistic. Perhaps any given day, any given week or month, that having that bar stay completely even is not what you're aiming for. What you're aiming for is getting the things on the bar done. So in the graphic, I have one's a big triangle, one's a trapezoid, a couple of round balls, that kind of thing. And what I propose is that we accept the position of the fulcrum. Be the fulcrum, right? That's it. So be the fulcrum and move yourself to that one thing that now you're going to prioritize and you're going to get done. And then I offer the acronym FAST. So to get things done, you do them fast, which means you focus, you align, and you single task. That's the other neuroscience thing that I share there, is that we think that we talk about multitasking as a badge. Ends up 3% of the human population can truly multitask. So that's why we have books written on distracted driving and, lots of things that we're coming to understand on a higher level, because we can't. So single task. So commit to single tasking. So now you're the fulcrum. You focus, you align, and you single task this one thing that you're choosing to prioritize at this time.
I think that's so important because especially in this sort of always on hustle culture where, okay, well, I'm going to have a full-time job and then I'll have a side job and then I'll have a side hustle on my side job. And, people are just layering too many things and they wonder why they're exhausted and they're not really performing well at any of those things that they're combining. And I think this illusion of multitasking is really an important one for us to get rid of. And I think it's also, we're doing more complex things. Before when we maybe worked in a factory or we farmed, if I'm walking and chewing bubble gum, those are kind of two basic things that like my body's going to more or less do by themselves without a lot of real brain power. But the things we're doing now, they need a lot of brain power and you can't context switch this way. And I learned that a lot in Silicon Valley when we were, coaching with a lot of the engineers, is to try to have them code one type of the project and then move over to something else. It meant the quality actually suffered and I saw it real time. So I love that we're championing now single tasking and getting people focused. They're part of the fulcrum for the day. So that's fantastic.
Yeah. And the part that I left out is that when you be the fulcrum, then you center yourself. So, literally now you're going to center yourself under this thing that you're going to do. And I offer few different points of centering. So I'll go through them quickly. So center in the moment. Something has gotten you flustered and you're not right there. You're not present. So center in the moment. It's just a couple of deep breaths. I spoke to a nurse the other day who said, I just don't have time to center. And I said, like a minute? In the book, I talk about a breath that's to the count of 4 in and to the count of 6 out, which has like a really good release and helps you center. And so that ends up making about 5 breaths in a minute. Okay. You're going to take 5 breaths in the minute anyway, maybe more if you're hyperventilating and you're really, being pushed. And so finding that time to say, yes, I can be intentional about this. And here's more neuroscience related to it. We have these, I call it the yellow brick road. We have these neural pathways, like the way we always go, the road most traveled. And when you center yourself, you can break that pattern and now create another neural pathway. And so do that, find the moment to stop. So I do the in the moment. I do intentionally, like before, I'm sure you do this too. Before you get on a call with a client, I want to say their name. I want to be present for them. Set the intention in my mind and in my heart that, now I'm with Nikki Green, what have you. And I find that centering right then and there. And I'm going to single task that conversation and not be distracted, not have other things going on. So then from there, periodic times during the day, maybe a end of day reflection, a end of week reflection, different points at which you're intentionally centering yourself so that when you're coming to be the fulcrum, easy peasy.
Well, and it's like anything. It's like building any kind of muscle or habit. It's important that you repeat the task and it gets easier and easier. I know when I first started trying to do meditation and certain things, I was having a lot of struggles when I was younger. I was 16 and my therapist immediately was like, no, you need to chill out. It's like you do too many things. And this is why you're frustrated and you're not accomplishing the things you want to do. And so really starting with a lot of those exercises helped me through finishing high school, college, and then when I started my career. And so I know it's helped me, whether these were, academic endeavors, professional endeavors, weird races and things that I've been doing over the time. It really has so many uses because it goes back to something very basic, breathing, calming yourself, calming your mind, calming your body and your nervous system, right?
It's something we can all do, right? So here's another book. I just love this book, Peak Mind by Amishi Jal. And she actually sets out to prove, bottom line me. Everybody wants to be bottom line. I think she was in Silicon Valley for quite a while. And everybody wants to be bottom line. So she does decades of studies and narrows it to 12 minutes a day. 12 minutes a day of mindfulness is the sweet spot for then being on peak mind, being on top of your game throughout the day.
See? There you go. That's all we need. Now we know.
Hi, everyone. My name is Nikki Green, and I am a life and business resiliency expert. I have been helping people for over 2 decades overcome their challenges and achieve their life and business goals. I wrote Chameleon Mindset for others seeking clarity while acclimating to new situations. This entertaining yet research-based guide to transitions will open your mind to unique strategies for finding purpose and achieving your goals. Through my new book, you will create the happy life you desire with 5 philosophies for change, beginning with C for creative adaptability. Move from resistance to resilience by assessing and adjusting your risk tolerance. The practical lessons in Chameleon mindset will help you shift your mindset, sharpen your skill set, and overcome the things holding you back from dealing with change.
We'll have the new online course coming soon.
There are half a dozen modules in total, but the way you choose to pursue your destiny, it's up to you. Each module can be done independently or repeated as necessary to tackle new obstacles and new goals in your life. And you can earn extra Chameleon coins for uncovering them. What are Chameleon coins, you might ask? These are reward XP that you can earn to purchase additional Chameleon mindset benefits as you progress through the course. You can get swag, group coaching, one-on-one coaching, exclusive event tickets, and networking opportunities. And if you collect enough coins, you can even earn a full-day VIP intensive with me to work solely on your goals. And by joining the Chameleon crew, you will also gain access to my network of thousands of influential people around the world with expertise to help you on your business, your personal endeavors, health and fitness, and so much more. Reserve a copy today and click below to be added to our subscriber list.
Well, one of the other things that you talk about that I also like is habit stacking. And so pairing one habit with another during the day. And I know I love your walk and talk series that you do sometimes too. Just really natural things, right? To, again, not multitask, but just stack habits that make sense to kind of combine together. So maybe share a little bit how people might use that.
Absolutely. So, there's certain things you do every day, like you brush your teeth, you go to the bathroom. There's like things that, are routine in your life. And so you put something else on top of that, which could be one of my favorite mindfulness techniques is just the simple rubbing of 2 fingers together. So when you do that to intentionally feel the ridges on each of the fingers, so to feel the thumb, then feel the index finger, and then maybe even onto your hands. And so when you're, maybe I'm going to the bathroom, I don't know, or maybe I'm going to go in and brush my teeth or turn down the bed or just get in the bed. And now I'm going to make a habit of as I enter the bed, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to have this moment of reflection and I'm going to trigger the moment by way of doing this little mindfulness technique. But I'll add to that. So it's something that everybody does every day. When I was out more on the road and such, so I found myself consulting and coaching in the hospital setting a lot. So in any building. So what I trained myself is that I'm going to, at some point in the day, I'm going to leave the building and I'm going to go get in my car. And so I would think to myself, these are habits or there's a sequence that's going to happen. So because I talk about habits and sequences. And so I started to train myself. The minute my hand was on the door, or I went through the revolving door and I exited the building, be it at work or somewhere where I was consulting, the minute that happened, that was the sort of the portal to opening up for my reflection as to what went well, what value did I bring, what do I need to prepare for? And so my challenge to myself was between entering that portal on my way to the car before I touched the handle, I would have reflected on the things that went particularly well and the contribution that I made in that day, which then fuels my ability to center and focus on something else the next day or later that day.
Oh, that part is so important because I do think that's part of that hectic, busy culture where you go, and you constantly feel like you're not doing enough, you're not being enough, and you never have that time of reflection where you're like, no, I kicked butt today. I had a great day. Things went well. I helped a person. I helped a lot of people. I helped myself, whatever the things were, right? And just really taking that moment for yourself to make sure you go, mental high five. We did it, kids. Let's keep it going. And it keeps you encouraged because every step of the way is important, and if you don't remember those milestones in the moment, it gets harder and harder the further away you get from them, right?
Absolutely. And I read your chapter and I loved your chapter and the vulnerability that you offer. And so I would suspect that when some of the stories that you told where things were difficult and you found yourself in a spiral downward, that what happens is then we believe that and we keep that's the yellow brick road. We go to the downward spiral. So those calling out to yourself and to others, those things that went well and what you did positively and what's working well, is what creates the upward spiral. It's what it and you're right, we just don't do it enough. It should be the very first thing anyone thinks of when they're having a one-on-one with somebody else, when they return home, when they pick the kids up from school, the very first thing should be, what went particularly well today? What are you most proud of? Because that is what then gets the person in the right place to take on more, to be more productive, to open themselves up to what's next, because they're building the confidence with the upward spiral.
And it's such a great way to lead. If you see someone who is struggling and they're kind of in that downward spiral, you can positively impact them by helping to break that pattern and notice something positive that happened and make sure to try to help them reframe a bit and say, oh, well, maybe you feel, there were some of these negative things that happened, but in my eyes, I saw these positive things happen, and hopefully help them turn their spiral upside down.
Yeah, right. That's right. Well, and someday I'm going to do an animated graphic on this, but I want to actually go back to your chapter, because some of the senior leaders spiraling out of control and doing crazy behaviors. So I contend same thing works there. When you see an ounce of the right behavior, an ounce, like someone does something that you go, oh, well, I didn't see that coming, or I didn't expect that out of so-and-so. Now you're rewarding and recognizing the behavior that you want to see more of. So it works for others in your world, but it also works for you. It's the same concept.
So that the advice, kids, is you can tell your parents, you can tell your boss, and they need to be more positive, and you can reward them through reinforcing the positive behaviors that they do.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, Nikki, here's how I learned this, like straight up. I was coaching physicians, and it wasn't easy because I'm not a clinician, right? So I was going to coach them on communication. Well, that is what I'm good at. So I'm not good at brain surgery. You don't want me to do that, but I am a communication expert. So I'm say, okay, you're good at this and I'm good at this. I'm going to help you with this. We'll get together. Well, there was a lot of pushback, and I'd, message it differently. And then I started saying, well, wait a minute, you do this really, really well, or you said that really, really well. And I started reinforcing the tiniest thing that was spot on. And then that snowballs and built upon itself. And then that's when I went, I did it with my kids too, but that's when I went, this really works.
Oh, I love it. And I'm so excited for people to learn more. Time flies when we're having fun. We've got to send us off. Terry, I'm sure you have lots of exciting stuff going on. If people are interested in learning more about the Thriving Leader Collaborative or any of the work that you're doing, let them know how they can get a hold of you, and we'll add it into the show notes as well.
Absolutely. Well, I'm almost as pervasive on social media as you. You're like the golden standard there, but Thriving Leader Collaborative on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. And then thrivingleadercollaborative.com, and just contact me directly. Terre, Terre at thriving.lc, little abbreviation there, .com. So I'd love to connect with any of your listeners that want to learn more.
Oh, fantastic. Well, guys, if you haven't done so, catch a copy of The Great LeadHERship Awakening. There are 24 amazing women in this book that are talking about their transformative time and the knowledge that they can share with you in lots of different areas. And they are accessible. As you see, we're building a community, and we want you guys to reach out, and we're here to help. So thank you so much, Terry, for joining us today. It was great to have you. And we'll be on all the channels where you can find podcasts. Bye, everybody. Have a great one. Thanks, everyone, for joining us today for another episode of Stand Up and Stand Out. You know you can catch us where all the cool kids hang out that do podcasts on all the major platforms. And if you want to connect with Nikki directly, you can get a hold of me on my personal site, thenikkigreen360.com. There you can check out my website. You can see any of my new books. You can learn more about this podcast and follow us on social. Can't wait to hear from you, and we'll see you on the next episode. Bye.